Hi friends, in the previous videos I have explained about the functioning of the various parts of the suspension system including the leaf springs, coil springs and shock absorbers. This video I am going to talk about the two types of the suspension systems which are being used in the majority of the automobiles. Number one is the Macpherson suspension system which is used in the passenger cars, and number two about the rigid axle suspension system which is used in the medium and heavy duty commercial vehicles. We can see various types of suspension systems in the machines, that is cars, jeeps, buses, trucks and some construction machines and mining machines. We'll focus on few commonly used suspension systems in this mission. One of such few commonly used suspension system is the rigid axle suspension system, which has very few number of parts having leaf springs mounted on the rigid axle. The second one is the Macpherson suspension system, which is invented by Macpherson, having is also a simple one, and it is predominantly used in the passenger cars front suspension system. The other one is double wishbone suspension system, which is used in premium cars and medium segment cars in the front wheel suspension system. And the other one is called the trailing arm suspension system, which is used in some of the cars. Majority cases it is used in the rear wheel suspension system. And the independent suspension systems looks like this. The figure what is shown here is the independent link suspension system, which is used in majority of the premium segment cars in the rear suspension system. And the next one is the multi-link suspension system, which is used mainly in the race cars and some premium segment cars, because this gives the maximum flexibility compared to any of other suspension system, but it is having some challenges and complications. So it is used only in the limited vehicles. The other one is the air suspension system, which is used in the luxury buses like Volvo, Mercedes, Benz and all. This purely works with the air system. This particular item is called the air spring, supported with the shock absorber. And another one is the hydraulic suspension system, which is used in the higher capacity or heavy duty mining trucks. Now this video will discuss about the two types of suspension system in little bit detail. First one is the rigid axle suspension system we'll discuss. This is how the rigid axle suspension system looks, this illustration, and it is a very simple suspension system compared to any other model of suspension system, and this is the oldest suspension system and which is used in the beginning of the automobiles. This was used in almost all automobiles like cars, buses, trucks, etc., etc., having very few components, leaf springs, shock absorbers and connecting brackets and shockets. This is how the leaf spring flexes when the load comes from the bottom due to bumper hump, and the main job of the shock is to accommodate the varying span of the uh, suspension assembly, leaf spring assembly. This is fitted in both front axle and rear axle. Why it is called rigid suspension system? It is fitted on a rigid axle. So it is called as a rigid axle suspension system. There will not be movement of this axle, either it is front axle or rear axle housing. In case of it is rear axle, it is fitted over the rear axle housing. Inside there will be two half shafts, axle shafts, and above this housing it is fitted. In case of front axle, it is mounted over the I-beam or the front axle with a cross section of I shape and made with the forged steel. These leaf spring assembly are fixed or secured with the help of the two U-bolts at each end of the suspension and also supported with the shock absorbers. The advantage of this rigid axle suspension system, it is very simple in design and very economical with few number of parts, easy to service and can bear the heavy loads. That's why it is used in the medium and heavy duty commercial vehicles and trucks. But the challenge, as explained, it is not as smooth as the other types of suspensions we can see in the cars. So it cannot be used in the present generation cars and other passenger vehicles. We'll go the other type of suspension system, which is called the Macpherson suspension system. The Macpherson suspension system is the advanced version over the rigid axle suspension system, which is invented in 1946 by an automobile engineer from United States of America by name Macpherson in 1946, when he was the head or CEO of the Chevrolet Cars division in USA. Since its inception, this also has undergone for a lot of developments. Now let us focus on the basics of this Macpherson suspension system. See this figure. The suspension system, Macpherson suspension system, is having mainly three components. The first component is the strut. Strut is, again, I am explaining you, is an integrated part of the coil spring and the shock absorber. Both are the dampening parts. And top end of the strut is fitted to the body of the vehicle through rubber bushings, and bottom of this one is fitted to the wheel hub. So the bottom also acts as a kingpin. This is the steering tie rod. So then the second part is the control arm. The control arm, one end having open with the two bushings, wide end, okay, having bushings and pins connected to the body or chassis of the vehicles. The function of bushings is whenever the tire moves up and down, so they should give the rotational movement here with snubbing action with the help of the rubber bushing. This end is connected with a knuckle. This also acts as a kingpin with the same axis of the strut. So here most important thing is that one, the axis of the strut and as well as the steering knuckle should be same. It's very important to note this thing. Then the other part is there will be a rod like this. It is called anti-roll bar, and somebody it is called with a different name. This anti-roll bar connects both the control arms. The left side wheel control arm and the right side wheel control arm. So, and it is also having some kind of joints here. These three are the main components. When the vehicle passes over a hump or bump, the tire is pushed up with that load, and the load is transmitted to the spring and the shock absorber, compressing both and releasing. And when it is moved up, this, unlike the rigid axle suspension system, the control arm also is moved up and down with the help of this joint here and also with the help of this bushings here. This control arm shape and design and any additional parts in this type of suspension system will vary from machine to machine. Kindly understand, this is being explained only for the understanding purpose. It looks like this. The shown one is the drive axle shaft. Here is the control arm, this is the pivot, this is the strut. And when they work together, they work like this. Movement of this arm here, this is how and Macpherson system, suspension system also is a simple design with less number of parts, and it is being used majority of the passenger cars in the present generation, particularly in the front suspension system. And it is economical also because of its affordability, simple design, ease of maintenance. It is being used in majority of the passenger cars and light duty vehicles. However, the challenge is that one, it cannot be used for trucks and other load carrying and other heavy duty vehicles because of its simple design and light design. Kindly go through here, and video we will be discussing about two more types of suspension.